Hi guys, today I'm gonna show you how to make or set up your Springboot and React project in your Eclipse IDE. So let's get started. So as you know, there are a couple of ways to do that actually. In this tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to use Webpack instead. In my other videos, I'm gonna show you how to use React script, but for this video, let's use Webpack. So first, let's go to start.spring.io and let's generate our Spring project. So I'm gonna generate a Gradle project, Java, text, demo. Okay, and for this time, we don't need to add any dependencies. We only need the web one. So let's add the web, that alone. And then let's generate the project. After that you were able to extract the generated project from the zip file, and you'll see this, right? Then just copy the folder of that generated project, and then let's use that to import our project in here. Okay, so let's import the project. Just click import existing Gradle project, next, and then paste here the folder that you just copied. That is the root directory of the generated project you generated from Spring Initializer. Let's wait until it's done. Okay, so now that you have imported the project into the Eclipse IDE, let's make sure that the generated project actually builds. So let's right click on the project, and first let's refresh the Gradle project. Okay, and after that, let's try to execute build and see if it's building correctly. Okay, so it seems to be building correctly. Now let's do some changes and add some React scripts to it, like package.json and all else. First, let's add a plugin to our Gradle. It should be like this: com.movework.node version should be 1.3.1. Then let's apply the plugin that we just added. So let's do it like this: apply plugin com.movework.node. And then we also need to apply the IO Spring dependency management. So plugin, and then this one. So what happened in here is that we just added the com.movework.node plugin. So this plugin provides us node-specific tasks that is convenient for us, like npm install. So let's add further code. Like for example, I added the snippet code for my node configuration. So the version that I'm going to use is 12.16.2, and for my npm version it's 6.14.4. And you set the download true. So what it does is that it downloads the node and npm binary files directly into your workspace. This means that you don't need to install node manually anymore for you to have the npm in your class path. So even without installing node to have npm, that should work fine as long as you have your com.movework.node plugin. Next thing we need to do is we need to add or define our package.json. So let's create a new file. Right click, new file, package.json, and then I just copy this code snippet. Then after that, we also need to create, package hyphen package hyphen lock.json, and then it should just be empty. So this file during build, npm install or whatever, it will be populated whatever the values that you had in your package.json. So that's what it does. So for we were able to generate the project using initializer, Spring Initializer, correct? And then we updated the build at Gradle to add our plugin com.movework.node. So this plugin provides us convenient node tasks that is very convenient for us. And I'll show you how. What are those tasks later on? And then we added package.json file, and then package-lock.json. So the next thing we need to do is actually, since this tutorial is about to build the React project using webpack, then let's add webpack.config.json file. So first, I need to update my package.json and add a couple of dependencies, just like this. So what we have here is that I'm going to use webpack together with Babel. So we're gonna use the webpack to send our JSX files together with Babel to create a bundle file into which is actually the build JavaScript already. It will be loaded will be loaded in the browser. So what it means that the webpack in Babel is responsible from bundling all of the JSX files into a single JavaScript file, and this will be served during runtime in your browser. After we updated the package.json, we also need to create another file called webpack.json. So let's create that. So it's actually webpack.config.js. So I finish, and then I copied my code snippet in here. So webpack is actually we use webpack to actually tell how we want our project to build. For example, in this scenario, we want our JavaScript and JSX to be interpreted by bubble loader. So next we need to, since we're trying to interpret or process our JSX files using bubble, so you might ask, where is those JSX files? So let's create a new source folder in here that we will create so that we can create those JSX files. So let's click others and source folder, src main web app, and then under web app let's create a new directory called JavaScript. Then let's just say we create a new file here, main.jsx. That's right. We now have our first JSX files. And then here, I'm going to paste a code snippet that I already have. So as you can see, this is just a simple JSX file that contains a couple of codes. Like for example, I import React component, import React DOM, I create the main class, and I implement the render method, which will render an HTML tags, and then I use render React DOM to render the main class, and then render it in this element. So now the React mount point, you can see that here. I'm not sure if we already have that. It should be here in static. So well, we also need to create, aside from main.jsx, we also need to create index.html. So let's create the index.html in here, index.html. Then in index.html, I'm going to paste the code snippet that I have. And then as you can see in the body section, I have the element div, the ID is React point. So this is where the render part will be added or inserted. So as you can see, let's go back to main.jsx. I told the React DOM render to render the main, which is telling, which is saying that this line of HTML code should be appended to this HTML div React mount point. So, which means this code will be added in here during runtime, right? So you get the idea. Now, the next thing we need to do is to instruct our com.movework.node-plugin how to build our JSX files. So we need to use the node task that is provided by this plugin. So that is one of the convenience that it provides for us because it provides those node tasks. So I will copy here my existing code snippet and explain to you what's happening. So I have a build React app that is type node task, which depends on npm install bin and then webpack.js. Since it's asking for scripts, it should be a script, which is JavaScript. And then the argument, as you can see, we can actually change it to production, but in this example, I want to stay and keep it as development. And then in the entry, which means our main.jsx. So this is what we want the bubble to process and interpret, and together with webpack will create a bundle file. Now the bundle file, that is our output file, which is the react app.js, and will be outputted to this direct. Again, just take note that what happens in here is that I have this webpack.js, and I will use that to interpret, together with Babel of course, to interpret and process my main.jsx files to generate the bundle file called the react app.js. And now, since I already have this task, which type of node task, I will use it. I will attach my build react task in the build pipeline. So in this case, I use the process resources that depends on build react app. And then ideally, during clean, you want to delete your node modules, but in this case, I don't want to do that because every time I build, uh, it will download all of those node modules files again. So let's just clean delete the destination folder. Okay, so far, what we did is that we generated the project using the Spring initializer. And then what happened is that we added a couple of files like the package.json and then the package block.json. But then after that, as you can see in the build.gradle, we added our plugin called com.movework.node that provides us a very convenient node task like the npm install, as you can see here. Node task depends on npm install. And then we added couple of JSX files, which is, for example, in this case, main.jsx, which has a very basic content. Just wanted to render these few lines of HTML codes, which be rendered in this React mount point div. Now the React mount point div, it's here in the index.html. You can see. So now we're all good. The next thing we need to do is to clean and build the project, and then after that, execute the boot run. So let's try to execute the build first. Okay, so it seems that we are having a problem building the project in the node setup task. So what happened in here is that during the time, remember that we upgraded or generated the project using Spring initializr. By default, it generates together with the latest Gradle version, which is the 6.3. Now, the latest version is having some compatibility issues with with a lot of existing plugin actually. So one of that is this plugin, which is the com.movework.node. So what we can do actually, actually there is a latest equivalent plugin for this, but it's fairly new and I don't want to risk using that in this tutorial. So it doesn't mean that it's shiny, it's new, it's good to use. You have to think about the risk. So a better way to fix this is actually just to revert back our Gradle version. So now the Gradle version that we want to use compatible to this plugin is the version 5.5.1. Now, as you can see, it's actually fairly new as well. So it's not bad at all. We're not actually going backwards really late like around Gradle 4. It's not like that. Just 5.5.1. So we're good on that. Okay, so after that, let's hit build and see if it's looking good this time. As you observe during your first build execution without any errors, you might observe that it might take a while. The reason being is that the Node plugin is trying to download the Node binaries and the npm binary stuff, and then after those stuff is loaded or downloaded to your project root directory, it will now then resolve all the package.json dependencies. As you can see, there are some dependencies that we have in here, like this one. And each dependency in here also have their own transitive dependency. So after that, you might see a nodejs folder in here, and then the nodejs folder will contain a lot of subfolders corresponding to a specific dependency. So let's wait for a while until the build finishes and all of the dependencies resolved. In here, as you can see, in the build React task, we were able to bundle our JSX files into React app.js. Okay, so it looks like our build was a success and we were able to generate our bundle file from JSX files. The next thing we want to do is to execute our boot run. So let's do that in here. And let's see if our React app, so let's execute our boot run. Alright, execute boot run. Wait until our Spring starts and then let's check on the browser to see if the React app was being built or has been built. Okay, so it's almost done. The Spring application is about to start, so let's just wait a few more moments. Let's check on our browser in our local host port 88. Let's wait. Okay, it's starting. Okay, it seems that the Spring application has started, so let's check on our browser. In here, let's type localhost port 8080. Okay, and as you can see, our first React on Spring has been loaded to our browser. So far, what we have or what we did, we used our Spring initializer to generate the project. We added Spring Web, and then we have gone, and then after that, we imported the generated project into our Eclipse, and then we added a couple of files, especially the package.json. And here, as you can see, the package.json, we added a couple of dependencies. First of them is the bubble and the webpack. And then after that, we added webpack.config.js. So this one determines how do we build or how the build should looks like. So it tells the builder, Node.js builder, to process our JSX and JS files using webpack and bubble loader. And then after that, we added a couple of files in our new source folder, which is the src main web app. And then we added a file, main.jsx file. In the main.jsx files, we have a couple of lines of codes only. So mainly, we implement the render method. We want to render a couple lines of HTML codes. So how to do that? We have this React DOM render. It only says that, hey, render the main code, which is this one, inside this element React mount point. And we're going to see that React mount point lib, it's in here in the src main resources static index.html. So in here, you can see inside the div React mount point here, those few lines of codes, which is this, as you can see, will be loaded in here during the runtime, which is will be shown in your browser, as you can see in here in the browser, correct? Correct. And then after that, we did some couple of changes in our build at Gradle. So what we did here, can you remember? So we added this plugin com.pullwork.node 1.3.1, and then we apply the plugin, and then make sure that we also apply the io.spring dependency management. And then after that, I defined the node configuration, and then I added a couple of codes on how to build or how to bundle our JSX files. So we have what here is a node task, which depends on npm install, and I'm going to use the webpack.js to process our JSX files and create a bundle file, which is the react app.js. So here is our entry, this is our output. So as you can see, we only have one entry in here, which is the main.jsx, but we can actually create or add multiple entries of them. So I'm gonna show you how to do that in my other videos. Also, if you remember, after all of the changes we did and then we hit the build, we encounter an error, correct? That is because we have a compatibility issues with the com.movework.node 1 version 1.3.1 with the Gradle version that the Spring initializer is using by default. As you can remember, it was Gradle 6, right? So we reverted back to an older version, which is Gradle 5, and that fixes our problem about the compatibility issues with our plugin. Now the plugin is the com.mover.node. Okay, so that's all for today. We were able to discuss how to build our simple Spring Boot application and use React and build it using Webpack and Babel. So that's all for today. Please hit like, comments about what other topics you want me to discuss, and please subscribe.